Excellent.
I'm gonna make you an omelet. Okay.
Blah, 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 blah. Ah. Now where did I leave Maggie? Uh-oh.
Radioactive squishies.
Take me to you later.
I hope you enjoyed my cartoon, and if you'd like to see more of them, I would love to continue making them. However, I've run into some problems with the game, and if anyone has any knowledge on running old computer games, I would very much appreciate their advice. So, from all of my research, what I've gathered is that the game is basically impossible to play on a modern PC using the disc. It's also impossible to emulate, from what I understand, possibly because of like anti-piracy stuff. So, if you don't have access to a computer, the way that you play the game is that you have to create a virtual machine in some type of virtual software. Then, you have to put the physical disc in a DVD or Blu-ray drive on your computer, and have it pass through the virtual machine software into your virtual operating system. I did all of this successfully. However, there is one big problem that I can't get past, and that is my mouse is very glitchy inside of the virtual machine. You might have noticed that some of my animations in the cartoon are a little stilted. Characters that are supposed to be moving from one side of the screen to another will hold their position longer than they should, and that's because of the laggy mouse movement problem. For full disclosure, I am playing this game on a virtual machine in Oracle using a Windows XP operating system. I chose Windows XP specifically because it was the only operating system that I could find with like 256 colors graphics pre-installed, which is a requirement for the game. And it is also an operating system that wasn't so recent that the game couldn't run. From my personal memory, my parents upgraded to Windows Vista at some point, and my game ceased to work when I tried to play it. Windows 95 and Windows 98 were the operating systems that the game was designed for. However, they can't run the game in their base state. You have to upgrade the graphics and color variety. But every time I tried to install graphics update for the older machines, they would crash and give me insurmountable errors and would just refuse to boot up unless I uninstalled the graphics drivers. The only answer I could find on why this was possibly happening was some forum post saying that Ryzen PCs aren't capable of nesting. I don't know what that means, and I am very out of my depth here. On the back of the case for the game, it has a bunch of system requirements. However, for iMac, it just says that you need to have enough storage space. So it seems to work basically out of the box on iMac with no stipulations whatsoever. So maybe that's the solution for a lot of my problems. However, I couldn't figure out a way to emulate an iMac, at least in the virtual machine system that I use. I was having a lot of difficulty figuring out what that entailed. So yeah, the laggy mouse is the main problem. It's really, really hard to get smooth animations. However, a much smaller but just as irritating and pervasive problem is that Windows XP is a much more advanced operating system than the game was designed for. So when you are planning out character animations, they cycle more quickly than they're supposed to. The way that the game works is that when you select a character and hold down the mouse, the character will begin an animation cycle. However, on Windows XP, it just flies through the cycles at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Whereas if you look at the sample animations done by the game's developers inside of the game, you can see that they can actually get really precise movements in their cycles, so I have to imagine that it moves much slower in its intended format. My theory is that how the game's characters move is basically like tied to the RAM of your PC or something. The game says that it's optimized specifically to run on an 8-bit operating system. And I think that Windows XP is like 64-bit, like it's way more advanced, obviously. On my virtual machine for Windows XP, I tried lowering the RAM as low as possible, but then I ran into errors where the game's sound effects wouldn't play properly, and it just wasn't, like, working. The mouse problem is the real big thing. If I'm patient enough, I can just do animations over and over again until I can get, like, the right movements, but the glitchiness is what's preventing me from even doing that, and makes it very, very difficult. If anyone has a solution for this, I would greatly appreciate it. I thought for a second that maybe I could just switch to an older mouse, but it didn't seem to do much either. Anyways, thank you everyone for watching this. I was shocked at how well the previous one did, and it emboldened me to make this, so hopefully people also like this one. I don't know, maybe it was just a flash in the pan. I think it's fun to make these. I think it's very, very funny to try to push this game to its limits and see what it's capable of. Anyways, thank you all for your time. Goodbye. Hello, and welcome to another Simpsons Cartoon Studios fun fact. So, what this game has chosen to include in terms of characters, assets, and props is very questionable at times. But one of the more baffling inclusions is this strange blue dog, this ugly little monster that looks nothing like something that should be in The Simpsons. It looks more in line with a different Klasky Csupo show, like Duckman or something. So, what is the deal with this dog? Why is it here? I don't know, but I think I have a partial answer. So, in 1993, I believe, according to the copyright information inside this book, Bart Simpson's Guide to Life was published. For Simpsons fans of my generation, this is sort of like a prototype to the Book of Bart, Book of Homer, Book of Lisa, you know. On page 106, there are 9 types of doggies, according to Bart Simpson. And here we have our old pal, Drooly. Underneath it says, also known as Throat Gravy, Sir Saliva a Lot, and Rabid. Pros, can survive for weeks off his own bodily fluids. Cons, flicks his spittle on everything, including you. I guess here we have it. This is where the dog might or might not have come from. My theory is that the game, a lot of its assets were part of, like, model and character packs that were sort of sent off to the advertising companies, and I think they got the same ones. However, there's a very strange reference to the Tracy Ullman shorts in the game. I don't know why that would be in there, but I'll tell you that next time if I live that long. Okay, thank you, bye.